palaya bendara sato tenopa tishta dridho me bhava suto kayo me bhava supo kayo me bhava anurakto me bhava sarvasiti me prayatsa sarva karma sutsame sitang shriyang kuruham ha 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 ho bhagavan sarva tatha gata bendaram mame mansa bendaram bhava Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Benzara Sato Samaya Manupalaya Benzara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shreyang Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Bendaram Mame Munsa Bendara Bhava Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Bendara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Bendara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shreyang Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Bendaram Mame Munsa Bendaram Bhava Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Bendara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Bendara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Bendaram Mame Munsa Bendara Bhava Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Bendara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Bendara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Bendaram Mame Munsa Bendari Bhava Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Bendara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Bendara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Bendaram Mame Munsa Bendaram Bhava Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Bendara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Bendara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Bendaram Mame Munsa Bendaram Bhava Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Bendara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Bendara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuruham ha 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 ho Bhagavan. Sarva tatha gata benzarmame munsa benzir bhava mahasamaya sato a. Om Benzara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Benzara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan. Sarva tatha gata benzar mame munsa benzar bhava mahasamaya sato a. Om benzar sato samaya manopalaya benzar sato tenopa tishta dridho me bhava suto kayo me bhava supo kayo me bhava anurakto me bhava sarva siddhi me prayatsa sarva karma sutsame sitang shriyang kuru hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan. Sarva tatha gata benzar mame munsa benzar bhava mahasamaya sato a. Om Benzara Sato Samaya Manupalaya Benzara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan. Sarva tatha gata benzar mame munsa benzar bhava mahasamaya sato a. Om benzar sato samaya manopalaya benzar sato tenopa tishta dridho me bhava suto kayo me bhava supo kayo me bhava anurakto me bhava sarva siddhi me prayatsa sarva karma sutsame sitang shriyang kuru hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan. Sarva tatha gata benzar mame munsa benzir bhava mahasamaya sato a. Om Benzara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Benzara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan. Sarva tatha gata benzar mame munsa benzar bhava mahasamaya sato a. Om benzar sato samaya manopalaya benzar sato tenopa tishta dridho me bhava suto kayo me bhava supo kayo me bhava anurakto me bhava sarva siddhi me prayatsa sarva karma sutsame sitang shriyang kuru hum ha 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 ho Bhagavan. Sarva tatha gata benzar mame munsa benzir bhava mahasamaya sato a. Om Benzara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Benzara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyang Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan. Sarva tatha gata benzar mame munsa benzir bhava mahasamaya sato a. All right, everybody, warm welcome. Good to see you. Shrikant, Amar, Sairi is here. Komal. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Roshna. Nice. All right, welcome to Full Moon Practice. I don't really plan these sessions. Don't really plan anything. It's nice to surprise oneself. It's just a chance for us to at least twice a month get together and practice. And we'll see what emerges. Typically, we have some meditation. There's some interaction usually at some point. Might have some reading. We'll see how it goes. So can I get you to take a minute of stillness? Just tune into yourself, tune into the full moon presence, energies, and just empty yourself. Some of you have come before, some of you are coming for the first time. Either way, just drop your expectations. Empty yourself. Just experience yourself the way you are right now, exactly the way you are. And for one moment, one precious moment of your day, don't change what you're experiencing. What's that like? My friend shared with me this beautiful poem by Mary Oliver. It's called The Invitation. Oh, do you have time to linger for just a little while out of your busy and very important day for the goldfinches that have gathered in a field of thistles, for a musical battle to see who can sing the highest note or the lowest, or the most expressive of mirth or the most tender? Their strong, blunt beaks drink the air as they strive melodiously, not for your sake, and not for mine, and not for the sake of winning, but for sheer delight and gratitude. Believe us, they say, it is a serious thing. Believe us, they say, it is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in the broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. It could mean something. It could mean everything. It could be what Rilke meant when he wrote, "You must change your life." Or do you have time to linger for just a little while out of your busy and very important day for the goldfinches, kind of bird, that have gathered in a field of thistles for a musical battle to see who can sing the highest note or the lowest, or the most expressive of mirth
or the most tender. Their strong, blunt beaks drink the air as they strive melodiously, not for your sake, and not for mine, and not for the sake of winning, but for sheer delight and gratitude. Believe us, they say, it is a serious thing. Just to be alive, just to be alive on this fresh morning in the broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. It could mean something, it could mean everything. It could be what Rilke meant when he wrote, "You must change your life." So if such a thing is possible, then I would like that I be the mouthpiece for whatever is most needed for every single one of us to listen to at this point. And that irrespective of what I say or don't say, and share and don't share, you get from the session exactly what is most needed for you at this particular point. And this kind of earnestness has its own magnetism, has its own intelligence. I remember years back watching a documentary where they had asked a famous astrologer if he'd be willing to be part of an experiment. And in this experiment, whoever came to him next, his next client, he was supposed to tell them the exact opposite of what he saw in their chart. Exact opposite. So whatever he saw is supposed to be the opposite of that. So if they're supposed to have good fortune, he's supposed to say bad fortune. If they're supposed to have, the kids are supposed to get into a good college, it's a bad college, whatever it is, like, opposite of that. So, and he was a little hesitant. He said, okay, I'll go along with it. It's an experiment. And so this person comes in and he's reading their chart and he's saying the exact opposite of what he sees. And normally he's used to getting feedback, like, you're like, oh yeah, their eyes are widening and they're shaking their head. But this time this person is really quiet. So he's really nervous. It's like, oh my God, this is really going bad. And at the end of it, they burst out crying and said, no one has ever understood me so deeply before. He's shocked. And not to say that astrology and all that don't have their place, they do. But what I'm trying to say is that it's the intention you come with. If you're coming with a desire to be understood, if you're coming with a desire for insight, you'll get insight irrespective. It doesn't matter what the person says. You'll read between the lines. You'll make whatever sense you need to make of it. I love this teaching by Ramakrishna Paramahans. He says that even if you have a false guru, a fake guru, a false teacher, but if your intention, if your aspiration is sincere, then that fake guru, that false guru, that charlatan of a teacher will take you to the ultimate truth. What a powerful, empowering thing to say. It really sets you free from all this second guessing. In fact, the true teacher at some point will cut you off. Otherwise, you'll be suckling forever. When will you ever find your own wings? Like, the mother at some point the mother bird will kick the little babies out. Okay, now go, enough. And there's a risk they'll fall on their face. But the mother trusts that they'll open their wings. The true teacher at some point will cut you off. Say, no, come on, no, enough. Find your own wings. In fact, after his third sermon, the Buddha, the Adita Pariyaya Sutta, his fire sermon, where 1,000 monks got awakened, he right away said, Charad Bhikkhave Charakan, start walking. Charat bhikkhave charikan. Bahujan hitay, bahujan sukhay. Lok anukampay. Out of compassion for the many, start walking. Walk in different directions. He said no two monks should walk in the same direction. Charat bhikkhave charikan. Bahujan hitay, bahujan sukhay. So now whatever you've learned, go. And they barely learned anything because he literally had given 3 sermons. The first 2 sermons were to his 5 Panchavakya, his 5 companions. The third sermon was to the fire worshipping ascetics. So they literally had almost no training, but they had the taste of it. They'd had the realization. They said, now walk. And there's a beautiful story how one of the disciples, Asaji, was walking from place to place, and this young man, Sariputra, he saw him. He's very impressed. There's something very magical about this monk. He's so calm, his demeanor is so dignified, there's something about him. So he follows him and he waits for him to finish his meal. Then he comes up to him and bows to him and says, I'm very impressed by you. Please, what do you teach? And he said, no, I'm very new in the dispensation. I can't teach. You can't teach, but there's something about you. Come on, tell me something. He said, no, my teacher knows I'm just very new. He said, no, but there must be something. So in very simple words, he says, that which has a beginning, to that the ending has been shown. That's all he said. That which has a beginning, the ending has been shown by the Blessed One. In other words, that which arises will also pass away. And that was enough for Sariputra to get the first glimpse. In other words, if you can just realize that anything in this world, whether it's an emotional experience, a mental experience, a physical experience, if it has an arising, it will also have a fading. In fact, these are also the last words of the Buddha. The last words by the Buddha were, Vaya Dhamma Sankhara, Appamaden Sampadeta, Ayam Tathagatasya Pachima Vacha. Vaya Dhamma means it is subject to change, it is subject to decay. Vaya Dhamma, Dhamma is the nature of sanskara, are all conditioned things. Vaya Dhamma, all conditioned things are of the nature of decay. Appamadena means without pramad, without lethargy. Appamadena sampadeta, work out your own salvation with diligence. Appamadena sampadeta, ayam tathagatasya pachima vacha. These were the last words spoken by the Blessed One. Very last words also are similar to the first teaching that Sariputra received. That which arises also passes away. So at some level, this can seem like a very depressing teaching. That which arises also passes away. But if held, like, all teachings, I like to think of it as a frying pan. You hold it from one side, you're going to burn your hand badly. You hold it from the right side, and you can actually make some pretty delicious food. So it's how you hold the teaching. If you hold it from one particular way, yeah, it's one of the most depressing teachings. If you hold it the correct way, and you see, wow, everything's precious. This moment is precious. This particular constellation of all of us, configuration of all of us coming together, it'll never ever come again. It's so precious. We were in Dunagiri, which is in Uttarakhand, and we had a 30-day retreat. And we met a Naga Baba. So he is one of those mysterious Babas who's lived for years in the upper Himalayas. He's lived in the snows, and then he'd come to stay in Dunagiri. So we got to meet him because the person of the retreat center, Piyush, who owned the retreat center, he knew him well. Otherwise, he wouldn't meet people randomly like that. So his main practice was he would have a fire going. He'd keep the fire going 24/7. And I'm not sure what exactly he would do. There must be some deeper practice to it, but he would keep the fire going. It was some kind of sacred fire. So as the conversation began, one person in our group said, would you mind if we record the conversation? Mind if we take a photograph or a video or record it? And he right away said, no, don't record it. I said, no, but we'd love to remember what you're saying. He said, yes, record it here. Don't record on your device. How often we want to record the moment in our phone instead of recording it in our heart. And as we know, our phone is full of these big photographs, half-lived moments, busy trying to capture it in our phone. We'd gone to Bhutan as a group and we'd stopped at the spectacular vista to see huge range of the Himalayas. And everyone got off the bus and began clicking photographs. And then, of course, selfies and take 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. And this went on for 2-3 minutes. And then there was a little restaurant, restroom, and all. So they all began walking there. And then it occurred to me, we had spent all the time just taking photographs. But then everybody come back. Sit here for 15 minutes. It's okay. Put our phones aside and we just sat there looking at the Himalayas. The Himalayas are millions of years old. We just came and took 15 seconds of photographs and we thought we had done. So then we didn't connect with the Himalayas. Our phone connected to the Himalayas. What about us? We tried to capture the moment instead of allowing the moment to capture us. And so then we sat there for 10-15 minutes. And then that's what really was powerful. And you really felt the power of the majestic Himalayas. So the quality of our life is the quality of our consciousness. We are conditioned to think that the quality of our life is the quality of the content of our experience. What am I eating? What am I wearing? Where am I? Who am I with? That's what we're conditioned to believe. What I want to offer you today is that actually, that's not the main point. You could be wearing something different. You could be eating something different. You could be with other people, or you could be with nobody. You know the difference between the word alone and lonely? Alone and lonely. Alone is simply you're alone. But lonely is you're alone and you don't want to be alone. I'm missing, I want people. In fact, somebody broke up the word alone and you said, look at it carefully, alone becomes all one. It's a mystery. When you're alone, suddenly you experience all as one. But lonely is alone plus judgment, alone plus resistance, alone plus something's missing. So the quality of our experience is the quality of our consciousness. And so this teaching, Vaya Dhamma Sankhara Appamadena Sampadeta, that which arises will also pass away, like Asaji said to Sariputra. This teaching can be the most scary teaching because it reminds you that, and the Buddha says that he doesn't mince his words. He says, Sabbehi me piyehi mana pehi, nana bhavo vina bhavo. What does it mean? All that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will be separated from me. Make a list of all that is yours, beloved and pleasing. Your beautiful skin, your beautiful home, your beautiful clothes, your beautiful children, your beautiful life. All that is mine, beloved and pleasing. It's a scary thought. And it's a very sobering thought. Sabbehi me piyehi mana pehi nana bhavo vina bhavo will be separated from me. So in one way, this is the most depressing teaching, but in another way, it's the most empowering teaching. Because the time you're spending with your friends, like just the other day, a friend of mine died. He was in his maybe late 40s. And now I remember, oh, we'd met 2 years back. And this is what had happened. I did not realize that would be the last time I met him. So how do we know? One of my teachers, Ajahn Brahmavamsa, was teaching in Singapore. He'd been giving, I think, a series of lectures. And this was the last lecture. And people had been coming. The entire auditorium was full. And then as he was wrapping up his last lecture, he said, oh, so I'm told I'm scheduled to come here again next year. And according to what statistics tell us, in a group this size, 3 of you will not be here by next year. Not here doesn't mean you'll not attend. Not here, not here. And then he said, don't just look at the old ones. No guarantee, you know. So this constellation that we have today of all of you, there's no guarantee, you know. And so if you hold it the right way, then it's very precious. Every encounter is very precious. And so like that poem was saying, serious business to be alive, just to be alive this beautiful morning in a broken world. There's a lovely quote by Jack Gilbert. He says, we must have, this is a quote worth memorizing. I don't know how many people memorize stuff. You should memorize this one. Why don't you say it aloud, even though you're muted? We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world. We must have the stubbornness to, I'm forgetting to accept or embrace, to accept our gladness, embrace our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world. So that's what it means, that it's so precious. Every interaction, every moment, like Dan Millman says, there are no ordinary moments. No ordinary moments. So let's get into a practice and then we can have some interaction after that. And sit comfortably. Just settle into your own experience, exactly the way it is. Allowing yourself to fully soak in this moment, soak in the blessing of the new moon, the full moon. When you came to this session, something in you wanted to put down something. Something in you wanted a readjustment. Something in you wanted a reset, reconnection, realignment. Let that happen spontaneously now. Put down what needs to be put down. Nourish what needs to be nourished. Adjust what needs to be adjusted. Align what needs to be aligned. Reset what needs to be reset. Energize what needs to be energized. And let it happen spontaneously without overthinking. Let it happen just by being. Noticing the preciousness of this moment. The preciousness of this moment. This particular arising will pass away, never to return exactly like this again. How precious it is. Why would you put an old sticker on a fresh moment? supercharging your experience with awareness, with openness, supercharging your experience with clarity, stillness, supercharging your experience with a deep inner stability, forever untouched by the happenings of your life. Forever untouched by the ceaseless commentary, the narrative coming from the brain. Doesn't matter. There's something in you that's profoundly stable, profoundly still, profoundly unaffected, profoundly in tune with the rhythm of life, never out of step. Inviting an awakening of your intuition, inviting an awakening of what's also known as your third eye, Divya Chakshu, capacity to see beyond what your eyes can see, penetrate deeply into the nature of things. Third eye is opening up. Third eye means seeing things without your normal distortions of liking and disliking. What's in it for me? All that's gone. The seeing things the way they really are. Understanding the nature of things, arising and passing. Naturally slipping into inner silence, deeper and deeper. You're not trying to get anywhere, you're going to reach anywhere. Just being present, more present than you're used to being. It's okay if it's unfamiliar for some of you. Just be present. Be present to the fact that you're present. Observe yourself observing. Observe yourself dispersing, consolidating. Observe. Do a beautiful chant I learned recently. It's a Tibetan chant, the Vajrasattva. The Bodhisattva who purifies all your karmas, all your obstacles, obstinate patterns. Om Benzarasato Samaya Manopalaya Benzarasato Tenopa Tishtadridho Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Tang Shriyam Kuruham Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Benzaramame Mansa Benzar Bhava Maha Samaya Sato A. Om Benzar Sato Samaya Manopalaya Benzar Sato Tenopa Tishtadridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyan Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Benzaram Mame Mansa Benzar Bhava Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Benzara Sato Samaya Mahapalaya Manopalaya Benzara Sato Tenopa Drishtadridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitang Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Benzaram Mame Mansa Benzar Bhava Maha Samaya Sato A. Om Mani Padme Hum 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 Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Mantra has many meanings, and one of the meanings is I pay homage to the nothingness in the heart of everythingness, to the nothingness in the heart of everythingness, to the jewel in the heart of the lotus, the jewel of nothingness in the heart of everythingness. I pay homage to the emptiness in the middle of all this diversity. This everything can only come from a nothing. Nothing is only nothing because of everything. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum. Out of nothing this life has come, out of nothing this world has come, out of nothing this day has come, out of nothing it's all come. These words are coming from nothing, being received by nothing, arising from, returning to, made up of absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. This life is the activity of nothing, is the activity of everything. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Samsara fully penetrated is Nirvana. Nirvana rightly understood is Samsara. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. And for many of us, this is way too abstract, way too hard to comprehend. Can't even reach it, don't even know where to start. Om Mani Padme Hum is the mantra of Avalokiteshwara, Bodhisattva. And he recognizes that this wisdom is beyond the grasp of too many who are struggling the most basic things. And so a tear emerges from his eye, seeing the abject suffering, the helplessness of all these beings. It's a tear of pure compassion. And this tear emerging from his eye is the goddess Tara. Tara is pure compassion, fast compassion. So for those who this is too hard, too deep, too difficult, then Tara supports them, the goddess of fast compassion. Om tare tu re soha. 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 Om tara, om tara, om tara, om tara. Om tare tu re soha. Om tare tu re soha. Om tara, om tara, om tara, om tara. Om tare tu re soha. There are 21 forms of Tara, and maybe many more. And in this moment, green Tara, emerald green Tara, is shining her light on every single one of you. You're bathed in emerald green light. You didn't choose to come to this session. Tara chose you to come to this session, to receive her emerald green light. Om tare tu re soha. 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 Om tara, om tara, om tara, om tara. Om tare tu re soha. Om tare tu re soha. Fast compassion. Knowing exactly what you need, even before you ask for it, even before you know you need it. That's Tara's fast compassion. Imagine yourself as a baby that's in a basket. You're a baby in a basket, and you're floating on a river. And this river is taking you along a fast current. You're a baby in a basket, floating on a river. The river is carrying you down, fast current. But you're not abandoned, because Tara is running after your basket. Tara is running after your basket, keeping pace with your basket. But Tara doesn't have hands in this particular analogy. She's waiting for you to grab her. She wants you to grab her. But she's tirelessly running right next to your basket. Tirelessly running and waiting for you to grab her. The moment you grab her, you're safe. The moment you grab her, you're safe. But you have to grab her. You have to ask for help. No help will be given unless you're open to it. So if you need the help, then you ask for it. You grab Tara. Om tare tu re soha. 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 Om tara, om tara, om tara, om tara. Om tare tu re soha. 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 Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Tare tu re soha, Om Tare tu re soha. Om tu re soha, Om tu re soha. Ong ahong bang the guru padma siddhi hong. 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 Ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong bangza guru padma siddhi hong. Bangza guru padma siddhi hong. Vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Inviting the presence of Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, second Buddha. Very active energy, very active wisdom, very active compassion. It's not without an affinity with Padmasambhava that you even hear his mantra. Ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong bangza guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong bangza guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong bang the guru pama siddhi hong. Ong ahong bang the guru pama siddhi hong. Vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi hong. Vajra Guru Padma Siddhi Hum. I've gone to Bhutan many years back, and this mantra just began in my consciousness. And then later on, I was told the tiger's nest was set up by Padmasambhava. This is Padmasambhava's mantra. Vajra Guru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahom. Vajra Guru Padma Siddhi Hum. So we're inviting very powerful, supportive frequencies. The Vajra Sattva, Avalokiteshwara, Tara, Guru Rinpoche, and all the other teachers and guides who have an affinity with you and your process and your awakening. It's all one fabric. It's all one. Different aspects of the one. Ong Benzara Guru Samaya Manopalaya Benzara Guru Tenopa Tishtadridho Me Baba Sutokayo Me Baba Supokayo Me Baba Anurakto Me Baba Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Satsame Sitang Shriyam Kuruham Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Bendara Mame Munsa Bendara Baba Mahasamaya Sato A. Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Kriya Babaji Nama Kriya Babaji Nama Om 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 Om Kriya Babaji Nama Kriya Babaji Nama Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Kriya Babaji Nama Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Kriya Babaji Kriya Babaji Kriya Babaji Om Kriya Babaji Nama Kriya Babaji Nama Kriya Babaji Nama Om Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om Divine, 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 together divine, together divine. Divine, 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 together divine, together divine. Om Kriya Babaji Nama, Kriya Babaji Nama, Kriya Babaji Nama Om. Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om, Kriya Babaji Nama Om. Together, 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 divine. Together, divine. Together, divine. Together, divine. Together, divine. Divine, divine. Saint Germain, Saint Germain, Saint Germain and the violet flame, Saint Germain, Saint Germain, Saint Germain and the violet flame. You're a being of violet fire. You're a being of violet fire. You are the purity life desires. You are the innocence life desires. You're a being of violet fire. You're the purity life desires. You are the innocence life desires. You're a being of violet fire. You're a being of violet presence. You are purity in its essence. You are purity in its essence. Saint Germain, 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 and the violet flame. Saint Germain and the violet flame, violet flames, violet flames, everything's up in violet flames, up in flames, up in flames, everything's up in violet flames. You're the purity life desires. You're the innocence life desires. Saint Germain, Saint Germain, Saint Germain and the violet flame. Saint Germain and the violet flame, up in flames, everything's up in violet flames, up in flames, up in flames, everything's up in violet flames. Everything's up in violet flames, everything's up in violet flames. Saint Germain, Saint Germain, Saint Germain and the violet flame. Saint Germain and the violet flame. Saint Germain and the violet flame. Om Benzara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Benzara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Titang Shriyang Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Benzar Mame Munsa Benzar Bhava Mahasamaya Sato Anicca Vata Sankhara Upadve Dhammino Upajjitva Nirujhanti Te Samavupa Samo Sukho Anicca Vata Sankhara Upadve Dhammino Uppajjitva nirujhanti te samavupa samo sukho. Uppajjitva nirujhanti te samavupa samo sukho. Anicca sankhara uppadve dhammino uppajjitva nirujhanti te samavupa samo sukho. Vedhamma sankhara appamadena sampadetha Ayam tathagatasya pachima vacha Vedhamma sankhara appamadena sampadetha Ayam tathagatasya pachima vacha Vedhamma sankhara appamadena sampadetha Ayam tathagatasya pachima vacha. Up in flames, everything's up in violet flames, up in flames, everything's up in violet flames. Saint Germain of the violet flame, Saint Germain of the violet flame, everything's up in violet flames. Up in flames, everything's up in violet flames, up in flames, everything's up in violet flames. You're a being of violet fire, you're the purity life desires. You're a being of violet fire, you're the purity life desires. You're the innocent life desires, you're the purity life desires. Saint Germain, purify us with violet flame. Saint Germain, in the violet flame. Saint Germain in the violet flame, Saint Germain in the violet flame. Up in flames, everything's up in violet flames, up in flames, everything's up in violet flames. You're a being of violet fire. You're the purity life desires, you're the purity life desires, you're the purity life desires, you're the innocent life desires. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Tare Tu Re Soha, Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Soha, Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tara, Om Tara, Om Tara, Om Tara. Tu Tare Tu Tare. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Tu Hi Tare. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Tu Hi Tare. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Ong ahong bang the guru padma siddhi ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi ong ahong vajra guru padma siddhi ong ahong bang the guru pama siddhi ong ahong bang the guru pama siddhi Hong Ong Ahong Vajra Guru Padma Siddhi Hong Ong Ah Hong Bang the Guru Pema Siddhi Hong Vajra Guru Padma Siddhi Hong. Om Vengzara Sato Samaya Manopalaya Vengzara Sato Tenopa Tishta Dridho Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Siddhi Sarva Karma Satsame Sitang Shriyang Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Benzaramame Vansa Benzarabhava Maha Samaya Sato Va Om. Take a holiday from imagining you're a human being. What's that like? You're not denying your humanity, you're just not saying that's not all of it. That's not all of it. You don't have to be so fixated on it. You're much more a mystery than you are a history. Isn't that true? So what's it like to rest in that mystery? Whenever you like, take a slow deep breath. If you want to rub your palms together, you can. Well done, everybody. Some of you made it. Some of you disappeared into nothingness. I want to read a little bit from this compilation of excerpts from one of my favorite books, I Am That, by Nisargadatta Maharaj. And this is, I Am That is full of conversations between Maharaj and the people who come to meet him. And this is a book of excerpts, some of the most pithy, powerful things he says in that book. So let's open some random pages. Nupur, give me a random page. 24. Let's try. How interesting. This is what you were talking about a little while back. You said, talk about alone and lonely. And so this is called, I alone am the one. There can be no universe without the witness. There can be no witness without the universe. There can be no universe without the witness. It's a very important observation. It may seem like a simple thing. It's a very profound thing. So in other words, most of us are conditioned to believe that we depend on the world. We depend on the universe. But equally, the universe depends on us, you see. If I close my eyes, you all disappear. I'm sorry. You're so dependent on me. And equally, my sense of me is dependent on you, right? So it's an interplay, it's an interbeing. So not only is it true that I depend on the world, it's equally true the world depends on me. No me, no witness, no universe. Look closely and you will see that the seer and the seen appear only when there is seeing. They are attributes of seeing. When you say, I'm seeing this, I am, and this come with the seeing before. You cannot have an unseen this or an unseeing I am. Knowing is a reflection of your true nature, along with being and loving. How beautiful. Knowing is a reflection of your true nature, along with being and loving. The knower and the known are added by the mind. It is the nature of the mind to create a subject-object duality where there is none. The painter is in the picture. You separate the painter from the picture and look for him. Don't separate. Don't put up false questions. The moment you say, I am, the entire universe comes into being along with its creator. The moment you say, I am, you see, 1 second before you woke up, there was no I am, there was no universe. Then you woke up, and then I am came, and along with the I am came the whole universe. No I am, no universe. You can experience this in meditation. You go past the I am, the whole universe disappears. What you see is nothing but yourself. Call it what you like, it does not change the fact. Through the film of destiny, your own light depicts pictures on the screen. You are the viewer, the light, the picture, and the screen. You are the viewer, the light, the picture, and the screen. Even the film of destiny is self-selected and self-imposed. So what you see is nothing but yourself. Another nice way of saying this is, Neville Goddard says, everyone is me pushed out. I find that a very powerful way of saying, everyone is me pushed out. So all of you are me pushed out. You're all the disowned parts of me. The day I own all of you, you'll disappear. You're all the disowned parts of me. What you see is nothing but yourself. Call it what you like. You are lonely as a person. In your real being, you are whole. When you imagine you're a person, you'll be lonely. But in your real being, you are whole. I have realized, now he talks about his own realization, but I have realized once and for good that I am neither object nor subject. I like how he's dropped the ball both sides. Neither am I the object and nor am I the subject. I have realized once and for good, I am neither object nor subject. He set himself free from his self-created prison. So Maharaj says, anything that can be perceived or conceived, I'm not. The moment you can perceive it or conceive it, he says, I'm not that. So many of us suffer because of these labels labels parents put on us, teachers put on us, friends put on us. You're fat, you're ugly, you're slow, you're dumb, you're this, you're that. We suffer because of that. But Maharaj is saying not only that, even the so-called good labels, you'll suffer from that also. Even the good labels create suffering. When my first few months of doing my MBA, the people who suffered the most, who were the people who suffered the most? All the toppers from Punjab University and Madras, they were all suffering because suddenly their old study habits are not working anymore. Because in MBA, your mugging doesn't work. It's a whole different paradigm. And no one was suffering as much because they were used to being the top of the class. Their whole schooling, their whole college, they were top of the class. And suddenly they were average or below average. They were shocked at what was going on. Nobody suffered as much as those toppers. And no one was as confused as people like me, who'd always been somewhere in the middle, who are now right on the top. Like, what just happened? How did I get on top? I'm not supposed to be on top. I'm confused. Everyone's confused. What's going on? So we suffer because of our identity. No identity can define you. It can only confine you, no matter what no matter how lofty your identity is. Some of you may have had a chance to meet celebrities or very famous people or very accomplished people. You pay attention to them, you'll notice how, in most cases, they're trapped in their celebrity. They're confined in their image. It doesn't take too much sensitivity to notice, wow, outwardly looks so good, but they're trapped, so stuck. My mother's been watching The Crown. Once in a while I peep and I say, oh my God, these royals are stuck. They can't do anything. I think it's the top of the world. Oh my goodness, badly stuck. Everything you have to think 100 times. What will be the implications of this? What will be the implications of that? They must be looking at you and me with so much envy. Wow, these guys can just get away with anything. We have to think twice about everything. Not twice, 100 times. So my teacher used to say, senior monks have senior monk suffering. Middle monks have middle monk suffering. Junior monks have junior monk suffering. Everyone's got suffering. So, so we all have our own brand of suffering, isn't it? And what's your brand of suffering? It has to do with your brand of identity. Whatever your identity is, then that's the unique suffering you've chosen for yourself. But identity goes along with suffering. Best of luck finding an identity that doesn't create suffering. Somebody came to my teacher and said, what is better, to be a Bodhisattva or to be an Arahant? In Buddhism, we have this discussion, Bodhisattva versus Arahant. Bodhisattva is someone who's delaying their enlightenment to benefit others. They'll come back lifetime after lifetime. And Arahant is someone who finishes their work and they're done. So Ajahn Chah had a very interesting answer. He says, don't be a Bodhisattva. So don't be an Arahant also. Don't be a Buddha also. Really? What should I be? Shouldn't be an Arahant, shouldn't be a Bodhisattva, shouldn't be a Buddha. Why? He says, don't be anybody. Because the moment you're anybody, you're in trouble. You see, the Buddha doesn't think of himself as a Buddha. The Buddha just is. In fact, he referred to himself as the Tathagata, the thus come one. He didn't call himself the Buddha. He said Tathagata, the thus come one. Thus it has come. Thus it is coming. What a beautiful way of saying it. Thus come. Thus it is appearing. Somebody asked him, are you a human being? Are you a divine being? You're a very perplexing kind of personality. Who are you? Are you human? Are you divine? Are you a spirit? Who are you? And that's when he said, Buddha, I'm awake. So he didn't say I'm a human. He didn't say I'm a non-human. He just said I'm awake. Well, how beautiful to be awake within the dream. He's awake from all these identities. All these identities. And that is creating a possibility for you and me to also wake up. Wake up, wake up. Awaken the dreamer. So the way I see it, we've all dropped a lot of clues. This is like a very advanced game of hide and seek. We are playing hide and seek with ourselves. At one level, it's very cruel. We've put ourselves in this strange world with strange people, with all kinds of, at one level, it's a super cruel thing we've done to ourselves. At the other level, every single moment, we've dropped 1,000 clues. There's so many clues. Everything is, if you look at it, like, my teacher once said something fascinating. He said, everything is teaching us. He said, really? So I chose a random, I just walked out, chose a random object and just sat with it. What are you teaching me? And sure enough, as I sat with it for 5, 10, 15 minutes, I began to get all kinds of deep insights. Wow, this is also teaching me. And that's where I realized it's true. Everything is teaching us. But we have to pay attention. So this is a very advanced game of hide and seek. We're playing hide and seek with ourselves. At one level, it's super cruel. At one level, it's super kind. This is a prison made out of keys. It's a prison made out of keys. Every element of this prison has a capacity of setting us free. But we should want to be free. Like right now, imagine this, all right? There's let's say 5 feet in front of you, a portal opens. It's a portal, whatever a portal looks like to you. You can see there's a portal, something's happening over there, portal. And you only know one thing. If you enter it, that's it. You dissolve into nothingness. Everything dissolves. Everything you know dissolves, all your concerns, all your problems, everything dissolves once and for all. It's there for the taking. Just take 5 steps, you're in it, gone. It'll be painless. Your sufferings will end forever. Now, how many of you will walk into that? And how many of you will say, yes, but my son has to finish college. Yes, but I'm going to water my plants. Yes, but Ganesh Chaturthi just finished. And I've got to do this and that. So yes, but, and that is what's holding you back. The yes, but. So it's there for the taking. So it's not like it's super, super complicated. It's right here. But we only are holding ourselves back. Who else is holding us back? Nobody else is holding us back. So I like to say it like this. Enjoy the illusion while it lasts. It's got an expiry date. So enjoy the illusion, enjoy the delusion. And I'm even going to say enjoy your suffering. Because at one time you look back, you'll have a lot of compassion for all these little quirks that you have. Oh my goodness, I used to do that. You'll find it quite endearing. Yeah, there was a time I used to believe that. There was a time I used to really, there was a time I used to get embarrassed. I used to say stuff and get embarrassed. Oh, I shouldn't have said this. You'll find it actually quite cute and adorable. So enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy the delusion while it lasts. Enjoy the dream while it lasts. It's got an expiry date. I don't think you can come across teachings like this unless you're already on the process of unraveling. See, this call began what, over an hour and a half back? You would not have stayed so long in this call if you did not have some seed of awakening in you. Because you can't resonate with these kind of things otherwise. The moment I began chanting strange Tibetan mantras, you would have been gone. This is too much. So it takes a certain affinity, right? And therefore, it takes a certain worthiness. There is a lot of effort and money and unconsciousness, and in some ways even there's conscious effort to make you feel inadequate. I don't know if you realize that. Anybody here who's a part of the advertising world will tell you a lot of very careful attention goes in how to make you feel inadequate. Did you know there was a time when people would bathe once in many months? And then they were slowly taught, no, this is not okay. You have to bathe every day. Did you know there was a time when like brushing teeth every day was not a thing? And they tried many things. Nothing worked. You know what really worked? When they made You know that pleasant feeling you get in your mouth after you brush? That's kind of a cool feeling you get. That was the breakthrough. When they were able to connect that cool feeling with cleanliness and say, look, that cool feeling in your mouth, that's a clean mouth. And that's how people got into the habit of brushing every day. Before that, nobody brushed every day. So we were taught to brush every day. So we've been conditioned to think we're not enough. And perhaps there are 1,000 messages every day coming to you, telling you you're not enough, not enough, not enough. And I'm here to say that no, you're whole and complete exactly the way you are. You're whole and complete. Purnamada Purnamidam. And from wholeness and completeness will come wholeness and completeness. So I often refer to this word miraki. Miraki is a Greek word, which means pour yourself into whatever you're doing. If you're listening, then really listen. If you're speaking, then really speak. If you're walking, then really walk. If you're cooking, then really cook. If you're playing a game, then really play a game. When you're with kids, then really be a kid. Right? Whatever you're doing, pour yourself, pour all of yourself into it to an extent that a part of you remains in it forever. So pour all of yourself. This is Miraki. And Miraki is an example of this consciousness we're talking about. From wholeness comes wholeness. If you live like that, from wholeness comes wholeness. So imagine we're all playing football. I don't know how many of you like football. We're all playing football. Game is going really well, a lot of fun. And then suddenly, one of you, let's say Prachi, okay, guys, stop. One question. What's the question? A very important question. Everyone says, what happened? Why are you stopping the game? And Prachi said, no, very important question. What is the purpose of life? Prachi, please get off the field. We're playing football over here. Why are you asking these kind of boring questions? No, but I really want to know what's the purpose of life. I'm going to push Prachi off the field and we're going to continue with our football. Prachi, the boring person, asking in the middle of the field what's the purpose of life. The purpose of life is when you're playing football, then play football. You know? When you're sitting, then sit. When you're walking, then walk. When you're eating, then eat. When you're confused, then be confused. When you're clear, then be clear. Wherever you are, pour yourself into that. You see, so it can be as simple as that. Yeah, the purpose is to show up fully. And don't compare your fully with yesterday's fully. There's a lovely teaching from the Toltec tradition. Always do your best. And then it comes with a little byline. Your best will change. Your best is not the same. So don't compare your best with somebody else's best. This is the way it is. Right now, this is the way it is. It's a very, how much of our troubles come because we compare ourselves, either with how we used to be or how we imagine that we should be, or with some other random person, how they're doing. How much of it is coming from that? My friend Gyandev, I think, is one of the most intuitive people. So, and he just follows his intuition. The intuition says, watch TV, he'll watch. Intuition says, enough TV, stop it, Max, he'll stop. For months, he'll stop. Intuition says, meet people, he'll meet people. Intuition says, stop. He said, I just listen to my heart. He said, whatever it tells me. So intuition told him to start smoking. So he got some hand-rolled cigarettes, he began smoking. And one of our friends had gone to meet him. And this friend happens to be one of India's top health coaches. He says, GD, we call him GD. He says, GD, really bad for your health. What you're doing, really bad for your health. Cigarettes, really bad for your health. And I love GD's response. He said, would you be willing to allow me to be imperfect? Would you be willing to allow me to be imperfect? He's trusting his inner guidance. I heard about this lady who was in her 80s. She was still smoking a packet of cigarettes a day. And her family was very concerned. What the hell? She's been smoking for decades. So I took her to the doctor and they had her scanned. And she was quite okay. The doctor said, I don't know how you've done it, but you're actually quite okay. What's your secret? You've been smoking for decades, a packet of cigarettes a day. What's your secret? So she smiled and she said, nobody knows this. But before I light up, I always say, it's going to be a holy smoke. So she's been having holy smokes for the last few decades. So what I'm saying is that that don't assume, right? We don't know what's going to happen. Ajahn Chah, this is a true story. My teacher was invited by the Queen of Thailand. This is many, many decades back. It was her birthday, and she had invited Ajahn Chah and a few other senior monks for her birthday. These are all considered to be very enlightened monks, very special monks. So I don't know if any of you have ever been to Thailand, you'll notice it's strange. Some of the monks, they smoke. You find it very strange. How can monks smoke? Like, seems almost offensive. And a few reasons for that. One is that forest monks, in the Vinaya, the rules, there are certain exceptions where smoke can be used as a medicine. So they've caught on to that little exception. And it actually sometimes it even makes a little bit of sense that in the deep forest where there's a lot of malaria, sometimes smoke will put away the mosquitoes. I'm not sure of the complete solution, but anyway. So anyway, it's a little bit of a loophole in the rules. So they found a loophole and they smoke. So a lot of monks smoke. So this monk, very wonderful monk, and he was smoking. And one of his disciples said, Ajahn is the word for Acharya, that's going to kill you. That smoking is going to kill you. And he laughed at him and said, no, smoking won't kill me. I will die from falling from a high place. So anyway, the queen invited Ajahn Chah and 4 or 5 other monks to come for her birthday celebrations. She sent her private plane. Ajahn Chah refused to go. The other monks went. The plane crashed. All those monks died. When Ajahn Chah refused to go, they asked him, why are you not going? He said, yeah, they're all going to die. He knew it. They're not going to make it. And that monk also knew it. He said, I'm not going to die from cigarettes. I'm going to die from falling from a high place. So somebody's asked Ajahn Chah, what is this about? These are all wonderful monks. Why would they die like that? He said at their last lifetime, they have spent many, many, many lifetimes as honey collectors. And the karma they made from smoking out these bees, and thousands of bees would fall to their death. Thousands of bees would fall to their death that they couldn't get away from. So they had to fall to their death. And they kind of knew it. All right, so bring it on. So bring it on, right? It's going to come, you bring it on. He knew it's going to happen. Bring it on. To me, these are very inspiring stories that, so you avoid it if you can, but if you can't, then you don't dodge it. So come, let's face it, bring it on. What's going to happen? So in this lifetime, there are certain things with all your cleverness, with all your resources, with all your intelligence, you'll be able to dodge certain things. There's something you just cannot dodge. You try your best. You cannot dodge them. You try them. Can't. So when you can't dodge it, then you take it gracefully. All right, bring it on. Let's take this. Take it. Face it. There's a story of Mahamoggallana. So I talked about Sariputra earlier. So Sariputra and Mahamoggallana had made a pact. Whoever comes across the teachings first will tell the other. So Sariputra came across. The first thing he did was went and tell Mahamoggallana. He heard those words. He also got the first taste of enlightenment. Today I heard a nice phrase, from ecosystem to ecosystem. That's a nice way of describing enlightenment. Enlightenment is a shift from ecosystem to ecosystem. From personality to process. Triple delusion. Disconnection of self from self. Disconnection of self from other. Disconnection of self from life. Ecosystem. And in awakening, you realize that it's not true. Self is not separate from self. Self is not separate from other. It appears to be, but it's not. And self is not separate from life. If you have a glimpse of that, you're awakened. And that statement that I said, everything that arises also passes away. That was enough for Mahamoggallana to also get it. And then they go to the Buddha and they practice. And a few weeks later, Sariputra gets awakened. And a little while later, Mahamoggallana also gets awakened, fully enlightened. And they stay the right hand and left hand disciple of the Buddha. So Sariputra was foremost in wisdom. And Mahamoggallana was foremost in psychic powers. So he had all these fun psychic powers, like he could fly in the air and make himself invisible and all kinds of fun stuff. All the things the Avengers could do, Mahamoggallana was doing long before that. Avengers normally have only 1 or 2 siddhis. Mahamoggallana had all the siddhis, he had mastered them. However, the time comes when, toward the end of his life, the time comes when there are certain people who are out to kill him. First day they come to kill him, he knows they're coming to kill him. He becomes invisible, they can't find him. Second day they come to kill him, he becomes tiny, they can't catch him. Third day, he flies off. So like this, day by day they're coming. The last day they come, he's not able to do anything. He's trying, none of his psychic powers work. What has happened? Like, this is the first time. They've all gone kaput, nothing is working. So then he says, what is going on here? How come I can't escape these people? And then he realizes he had a past life where he had blind parents. He was their only caretaker. He lovingly took care of his blind parents. One day he got married. Marriage was happy for a while. Then the wife began resenting the parents. And she poisoned her husband's mind. These two are going to keep you as a servant forever. Little by little, she poisoned his mind. It didn't happen immediately, but over a period of weeks and months and years, she poisoned his mind and she convinced him, let's get rid of these two, then we can have a proper life. So the plan they came up with, such a ghastly plan. The plan is that we shall take mother and father in our bullock cart through the forest, and then we'll pretend like our bullock cart is being attacked by robbers, because they're blind, they can't see. We'll pretend that we're being attacked, and then we'll only attack them and we'll finish them off. This is the plan they hatched. So they take the mother and father down the lonely road, and they start shouting and screaming. And the parents think, what happened? What happened? We're being attacked. We're being attacked. They're dacoits. And the parents think, you run away. You leave us. You run away. Both of you run away. Both of you run away. And they're only beating. And they're saying, you run away. You leave us. Both of you run away. And while the parents are blessing them and saying, you run away, they're only killing. And that's how they kill both of them. And when Mahamoggala realized this is what he had done, he said, I can't get away from this. This I have to take. So all his psychic powers faded. He had to take this. So then they came and they nicely beat him up and they nicely chopped him down. But he didn't die. They thought he died. He didn't die. So when they left, then that karma was over. So Mahamoggallana, all his broken bones, he reassembles himself and he flies and he comes to the Buddha. He bows down to the Buddha, pays respect, circumambulates him 3 times. And that's when he passes away. So there's certain things you and I cannot dodge, no matter how smart we think we are, no matter how many spiritual books you read, how many spiritual courses you do. There's certain things you have to just go through. Then go through it cheerfully. Go through it cheerfully. All right, bring it on. What's going to happen? Bring it on, right? And then you invoke all the powerful beings. Like today we invoke Tara. Invoke Tara. Tara will help you. Invoke Avalokiteshwara. Invoke whoever you believe in. This is all part of one reality. You believe in Sai Baba, you invoke Sai Baba. You believe in Guru Nanak, you invoke Guru Nanak. Whoever you believe in. It's all one. Whoever you have affinity towards, you invoke them. And it'll ease your process. When strong serve, when weak surrender. When strong serve, when weak surrender. And like this, you keep cleaning up, unburdening, putting down the weight, putting down the weight. All right, good for today. Anybody wants to say something before we end? Raise your hand, I'll unmute you.
I will see.
Yeah, go ahead, Prachi.
So when can we have the football match?
You're not allowed anymore. You said what's the purpose of life? We're not sure we can trust you.
I'm done searching the purpose of life. Now the purpose should search me.
Nice, I like it. Good.
Yeah. So I've done my job. Now I can sit and play some games.
I'll come and play games. Perfect. I love it.
No, thank you so much, Nithya. I mean, I was overwhelmed. I told you about it. And I'm feeling much relaxed. The show must go on.
Show must go on.
And yes, although one of the key members have left from my table, but yes, the show must go on. And I'm glad you just managed to pull me back. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, Raj. Nupur, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Nithya. It was a cleansing session today, very deep for me. Thank you so much. You did a chant for Babaji. I wanted to ask you about Babaji's chant.
Babaji, this is Mahavatar Babaji. He's the root of Kriya Yoga tradition. So if you've ever read,
his face came to me, Nithya, and I wasn't sure if it's him. So I just wanted to check if it's him or not. So yeah, I've never heard that chant before. So thank you. And his face came. So I thought I'd just check with you if it was him. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what you saw, but Babaji is a very active presence in our world, and he's guiding many of us. So he quietly does the work, and those of us who have an affinity with him will be guided. Just trust, we'll all be guided in different ways by different teachers and teaching that we're drawn towards. It'll actually be reciprocal to our own earnestness. I've seen this very clearly in my life. The more earnest I am, the more... See, it's not like you need some very extra powerful blessing. Whatever you already know, just apply that. Whatever you already have learned, apply that. You don't have to learn everything. Apply what you already know, and the next step appears. The next teaching appears. The next teacher appears. So like this, just keep applying to the best of your ability. There's plenty of help available. And just like in a school or college, if they notice that, wow, you're really earnest, wow, you're really smart, then they'll make sure you get the best teachers, and they may even send you to a special school where you get even special training. You know, your own parents and teachers will do that. So in the same way, if you show that kind of earnestness, then you will be selected by these teachers, and you will find that your path gets just these things come up automatically. The right books will find you, the right teachers will find you, the right teaching will find you. It's reciprocal. It's in direct proportion to your own inner sankalpa, your own intention.
Thank you.
Nice.
Hi, Nithya.
Saurabh, go ahead. Yeah, and then Vivek after.
Yeah, so I was traveling in Spiti Valley that time, and I had gone to this very old monastery, Tabo Monastery and Dunkar Monastery. They're 1,000-year-old monasteries. And I'm having a dialogue with some of the monks over there. And then I went to Keelong Monastery. And Ski Monastery, and somebody taught me the Tara mantra that time. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Swaha. And that's my habit. If somebody teaches me something new, I just relentlessly practice it, chant it, or, see what effects it creating in me. And I was doing that, and suddenly a friend suggested to me, he's like, have you been to a nunnery before? I was like, no, I've never been to a nunnery. He's like, you should go to a nunnery. And, for me, it was like as if I was surrounded by all these chomus. So like female lamas, they're called chomus. Right? So I was surrounded by all these chomus for 10, 15 days. And for me, like, it was manifestation of Tara, So as you rightly said, like somehow they just guide you or send you towards that direction. And then I was just got reminded of this dialogue which somebody told, I think Nisargadatta Maharaj, like, you're smoking, and it's not good for health, you're attached to smoking. And he replied, you're attached to non-smoking.
Maharaj has a great sense of humor. He was very blunt, Like somebody had gifted him a lion skin, tiger skin to sit on, panther skin. And this is done in India. You give these skins for these yogis to sit on. Somebody had gifted it to him. So he was sitting on it. So somebody said, what kind of a yogi you're sitting? That animal was killed for you. What kind of? I disapprove of the skin you're sitting on. So Maharaj made a face and said, I disapprove of this entire universe. Disapproving of the skin I'm sitting on. Next level. So it's all fun. I mean, it's actually fun to read. You should read I Am That. It's a really fun. And he's just going at it. Like everybody, it's like a big wrestling match that goes on with everybody who comes to meet him. And somehow in the middle of the wrestling match, somehow the penny drops. That whatever we are holding on to, these identities, these fixations, these philosophies, they're all hollow actually, completely hollow. And how Maharaj, in fact, he's quite contradictory. 1 minute he's talking about the importance of karma, cause and effect. Next minute it's all nonsense, cause and effect. What cause and effect? Everything causes everything. How will you find one discrete cause and one discrete effect? It's all interconnected. So like this, he's constantly contradicting himself. You don't know what to, like you read one chapter, like, oh, I finally got his philosophy. Next chapter, he contradicts his own philosophy. It's like, oh my goodness, now what do I do? And it's like in a way, it's very advanced, but it's very powerful. He's just cutting. The moment you think you've got something to hold on to, he'll break that also. And literally you're left with nowhere to stand. And I think it's, for some of us, it's time for these kinds of, enough of being given props and being, told this, believe that, do this, do that. A teacher has to come along that breaks everything. And that's what really sets us free sometimes.
Thank you for today's session, Nithya.
Yeah, beautiful. Vivek, you were saying something? Where did you go?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. The Tara mantra, Tejaswini got me to start reciting that as part of the, she's part of the Rainbow Sangha. And I've been doing that. And I had a very interesting dream yesterday where, it's being said that, okay, so if you thought that the Om is the ultimate sound, which is a root, then you're missing out one important thing, because the sound of the Damru needs to be added to that. And, so this is very intriguing. I'm not taking anything from it yet, but it was like this, the three sounds, the root sounds, but without the consonant sound of the Damru, they add up to nothing. So you need to, just focus on the Damru in addition to the Omkar sound. Incredible. And I just thought it was a very interesting dream, it's like there's something being revealed and so on. And I think the Tara mantra has been very powerful, and just trying to practice it several hundred times every day. Yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Vivek. Beautiful.
Thank you, Nithya. Can I say a word, please?
Who's speaking?
Kalpana.
Yeah, Kalpana, go ahead.
Yeah. This Tara mantra, it was just amazing. Many years back, somebody gave me a little idol of the green Tara and said, just chant this whenever you have any problem. For some time I did, and for some reason, circumstances, I gave it up. And I lost my husband recently, and I was going through all kinds of problems. And I just was telling myself, I can't even find my Tara statue because I moved house. And I said, maybe I should start. And when you started chanting it, there were tears flowing down my eyes. It was literally an answer to me in so many ways. And just wanted to say, beautiful. Big thank you for that. Thank you for bringing Tara back to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kalpana, and thank you, everybody, for joining today. Let's make a big Mayurma. Mayurma is a way of sending good wishes. Take your hand up. Make a big heart in the air. And then multiply it by infinity 3 times. Bigger and bigger. Huge. Come back to your heart. We say together, Mayurma. All right, everyone. Take rest. Be well. Goodbye. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye. Arigato. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Arigato.